The night was heavy with rain. Thunder rolled across the sky like an angry beast as Tu Sam stood by the window, her reflection trembling in the glass. The city lights flickered beyond the curtain of water, and for a moment, she thought she saw someone standing across the street, still, watching. Her heart skipped. But when she looked again, the shadow was gone. It had been months since Ly's last case, the one that nearly cost him his life. He had put a dangerous criminal named Bick behind bars, a man whose cold eyes and venomous smile haunted Ly's dreams. Everyone believed the nightmare was over. Everyone except Ly. Deep down, he knew that evil never truly disappears. It waits, silent, for the right moment to strike back. That moment came on a stormy night. Ly was in his office, papers scattered across his desk, when the phone rang. The voice on the other end was trembling. It was Officer Sang from the city prison. "Sir, he's gone. Bick escaped an hour ago. He's armed. We believe he's coming for you." Ly froze. The words hit him like a gunshot. For a few seconds, the world went silent, only the pounding of his heart filled the room. Then, instinct took over. He reached for his coat, his mind racing. Tu Sam. She was the first person Bick would target, the woman Ly loved most, and the weakness his enemy knew too well. He sped through the rain-soaked streets, every flash of lightning illuminating his fear. The storm outside mirrored the chaos within him. Memories of Tu Sam's laughter, her soft voice calling his name, they clashed violently with the image of Bick's hateful lies behind prison bars. When Ly reached Tu Sam's house, the front gate was open. A chill crawled down his spine. He called her name, voice shaking. No answer, only the sound of rain hitting the ground like falling glass. And then, from the darkness at the end of the corridor, came a whisper, low, mocking, and familiar. "Miss me, Ly." Lightning split the sky. The nightmare had begun again.
Ly froze at the sound of that voice, cold, raspy, full of venom. His breath hitched as he turned toward the hallway. There, under the flickering light, stood Bitch Gaunt, soaked in rain, his prison uniform torn and smeared with mud. His lips curved into a smile that was more terrifying than rage itself. "I told you I'd come back," Bitch hissed, stepping closer. "You took everything from me, Ly. My freedom, my power, my name. Now I'll take what you love most."
Ly's pulse thundered in his ears. "Where is Tu Sam?" he demanded, his voice shaking but firm. He scanned the room, eyes searching for any sign of her, a shadow, a whisper, anything. Bick laughed, a sound that crawled under Ly's skin. "Oh, she's close. So close you could almost hear her heartbeat. If you weren't so late." The words ignited something inside Ly, fear mixed with fury. He lunged forward, but Bick was faster, retreating into the darkness. A door slammed shut at the back of the house. Ly chased him, rainwater dripping from his hair, adrenaline burning in his veins. He burst into the backyard just in time to see taillights vanish into the storm. He screamed Tu Sam's name, his voice swallowed by thunder. Moments later, police sirens wailed in the distance. Officer Sang arrived, drenched and out of breath. "We've locked down the city," he said. "All exits are sealed. We'll find him." Ly clenched his fists. "No," he growled. "He's not just escaping, he's hunting. He won't stop until one of us is dead." Sang looked at him, eyes wide. "Then what do we do now?" Ly turned toward the road, where rain washed away the tracks of the fleeing car. His voice was low but unwavering. "We find Tu Sam before he does." And with that, Ly stepped into the storm, not as a victim, but as a man ready to face the darkness he once conquered. Somewhere out there, a predator was on the move. But so was the man who had vowed to protect the woman he loved, even if it meant facing hell itself. The rain refused to stop. It fell like shards of glass on the windshield as Ly's car tore through the city streets, chasing the faint signal of Tu Sam's phone. His knuckles turned white on the steering wheel, eyes fixed on the flashing GPS dot that blinked like a heartbeat, the only sign she was still alive. Officer Sang spoke through the radio. voice cracking from static. We've got movement near the old industrial zone, abandoned factories, west side. Signal matches to Sam's phone. But Lee, be careful. That area's a maze. It's where Bick used to hide before we caught him. Lee pressed harder on the accelerator. That's exactly why he went there, he muttered. He's taking her back to where it all began. When he arrived, the world felt dead. The rain had soaked the ground into thick mud, and the air smelled of rust and decay. A single light flickered inside one of the old warehouses. Lee stepped out of the car, gun in hand, every sense sharpened. Inside, the echo of dripping water filled the silence. To Sam, he called softly. No reply, only the creak of metal beams and the distant hum of rain outside. Then, a muffled sound, a cry. He turned sharply toward it, following the faint sobs that led him deeper into the shadows. His flashlight cut through the darkness, landing on a chair, ropes, torn fabric, and a single shoe lying on the floor. To Sam's shoe. Before he could move closer, a sudden noise came from behind. Looking for someone. Detective. Bick emerged from the dark, holding a knife gleaming under the pale light. His face twisted in hatred. I told you, you can't save everyone. Not her, not yourself. Lee aimed his gun, rainwater dripping from his jacket. It ends tonight, Bick. You've already lost. Bick laughed, a cruel broken sound. No lie. Tonight, you'll learn what losing really means. And before Lee could react, the lights went out. The warehouse plunged into darkness. 2 men, 1 storm, 1 heartbeat that still echoed in the shadows. 2 Sam's. The final hunt had begun. The storm raged outside as lightning briefly illuminated the warehouse, revealing 2 figures circling each other in the dark. Rain dripped through holes in the roof, hitting the floor like ticking seconds before disaster. Lee's breath came out steady, but his pulse hammered in his chest. Every sound mattered. Every shadow could be death. Somewhere in the darkness, Bick's voice slithered out, echoing against the steel walls. Do you remember, Lee, that night you put me behind bars? You thought you were saving justice, but you destroyed my life. Lee moved quietly toward the sound, gun raised. You destroyed it yourself, Bick. You chose revenge over redemption. A sharp clang, something metal hit the ground. Bick had moved. Lee turned, but too late. A heavy object slammed into his shoulder, sending his gun skidding across the floor. Pain exploded through his arm. Bick rushed from the shadows, knife flashing. Lee ducked, catching Bick's wrist and twisting it violently. The knife dropped, clattering away. The 2 men grappled, crashing into crates and rusted barrels. Through the struggle, Lee caught sight of Sam, tied to a support beam, her wrists bruised but eyes fierce with determination. She tried to speak, but the gag muffled her voice. Lee shouted, "Hold on, Sam." Bick growled, slamming Lee against the wall. You think she loves you? She's just like the rest, using you for protection. Lee shoved him back with all his strength. You don't know love, Bick. That's why you'll never win. They fell to the ground again, fists colliding, blood mixing with rainwater. Another flash of lightning. Lee saw the knife again, glinting inches away. Both men lunged. Then a shot. Bick froze. His eyes widened in disbelief. Behind him, 2 Sam stood trembling, holding the gun that had fallen earlier. Smoke curled from the barrel. Lee caught her before she collapsed, pulling her close as Bick fell to the floor, the rage in his eyes fading into nothing. Outside, the storm began to ease. The thunder softened into a distant murmur. Sam sobbed into Lee's shoulder, whispering through tears, I thought I lost you. Lee held her tighter, his voice low but steady. No, Sam, you're safe now, it's over. But as the rain finally stopped and silence filled the air, Lee looked down at the lifeless figure of Bick, and deep inside, he knew SM's storms never truly end. The story of Lee and Sam reminds us that love, courage, and justice are not just ideals. They are choices we must make even in our darkest hours. When danger rose again from the shadows of the past, Lee did not run away. He stood up, not only to protect Sam, but to protect what was right. His bravery was not born from strength, but from love, a love that gave him the power to face his deepest fear. Sam, though terrified and powerless at first, also showed great courage. In the moment when all hope seemed lost, she made a choice that changed everything. She faced her fear and took action. Her trembling hands may have held the gun, but it was her heart that pulled the trigger to save the man she loved. This story teaches us that life will always test us. Evil, betrayal, and pain are inevitable, but how we respond defines who we are. Running away from fear only allows it to grow stronger. Facing it even when our hands shake is the only way to overcome it. It also reminds us that the past can be a shadow, following us until we find the courage to turn around and confront it. For Ly, that meant confronting Bick and his own guilt. For Sam, it meant believing that she was worth saving and fighting for. In the end, the storm that nearly destroyed them became the storm that washed their souls clean. They emerged not just as survivors, but as people reborn, carrying the scars of battle, yet stronger because of them. The lesson is clear. Love is not just about protecting someone, it is about standing beside them when the world falls apart. True courage is not the absence of fear, but the strength to act in spite of it, and justice, though slow and painful, will always find its way through the darkness, if someone dares to keep the light burning. In the quiet after the storm, when the echoes of chaos fade, what remains are the choices we made, the decisions that reveal who we truly are. The story of Ly and Sam teaches us that every person faces moments when doing what's right feels impossible, when fear and doubt whisper louder than reason. Yet, those are the very moments that define our humanity. Ly's journey reminds us that strength is not measured by power or control, but by the willingness to protect what matters, even when the cost is great. He could have walked away. He could have left the past behind, but instead, he faced it head-on. He fought not just for Sam, but for his belief in justice, in love, and in redemption. His courage teaches us that true leadership means standing alone when necessary, trusting your heart even when the world doubts you. Sam's bravery carries a different kind of lesson, one about resilience and the power of belief. She was once a victim of fear, someone who depended on others for protection. Yet when the moment came, she found her own strength. It was not the strength of a warrior, but the strength of love, pure, desperate, and unyielding. Her courage shows that even in weakness, we can find power. Even in tears, we can find resolve. The criminal Bick, though a symbol of hatred and revenge, also offers a reflection on the consequences of anger left unchecked. His life became consumed by resentment, his heart hardened by blame. Through him, the story warns us that vengeance can destroy the soul long before it destroys the body. The deeper we sink into hatred, the further we drift from peace. The storm in this story is more than just rain and thunder. It is a metaphor for life's trials. Everyone faces storms, betrayal, loss, regret, fear. We cannot control when they come, but we can choose how we face them. We can let them destroy us, or we can let them cleanse us. Like Ly and Sam, we can step through the rain, bruised but unbroken, changed but stronger. In the end, love and justice walk hand in hand. They both demand sacrifice, patience, and courage. Ly and Sam's story is a reminder that no matter how dark the night, dawn will always come, not because the world is kind, but because someone keeps believing in the light.
The deeper truth is this: forgiveness heals more than revenge ever could. Faith in love gives more strength than fear ever will. And when we dare to stand up for what's right, even when the world trembles, we become the light that others can follow through their own storms.